No, I will make all the bad jokes, and we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Children
We're
of
live
Rath.
with horrible fucking jokes.
Well, that one wasn't...
Yeah, these are rough.
I hadn't unmuted it with that joke, but, you know, I'm totally going to make more of those jokes, and you ain't gonna stop me. Can't stop, won't stop. The bad jokes are gonna keep coming.
Don't stop.
If I drive up to your house and duct tape your mouth shut.
I mean, you're not gonna hang up here. You gotta go back home for work, and the duct tape will come off as soon as you're not looking.
I'll pay your niece to keep it on.
She doesn't have the power to do that. She's 8. She'll just, like, go...
Jesus,
She might have the willpower.
has no power here.
And then she'll be distracted by something on her phone. You know, or the computer or something, and, you know, she's gonna watch yet another weird Sims video on YouTube.
These damn kids on these cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
There's the man who plays a crap ton of Pokemon.
Oh, I play a lot of that. Mm-hmm. But I don't...
And
I've stopped
easily
watching
gets
videos on YouTube.
distracted. And easily gets distracted with his phone no matter what we're doing when we're in face-to-face.
Accurate.
Don't we all?
I am...
I know how to put mine down and put it in my pocket.
Ah, that's
Oh,
madness.
Me, I'm old. I don't like the cell phone. Thomas Edison was a witch.
Well, I mean, Thomas Edison was a bitch,
I
but
am
that's
not
besides the
an-
point.
I'm
Thomas
not
Edison was in fact a bitch.
I am not anti-technology. I am an IT guy.
Sure.
The most anti-technology people are IT people.
Sure, Grandpa.
I'm just anti-idiot.
I mean, that's rude because I am in fact an idiot.
I don't know.
I don't think
Anyway,
Although you two who I don't want to be.
we are gonna play some D&D here.
Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, we're down someone, but we'll be playing. They should be fine. Most of the questions that are going to be asked are probably not stuff that their new friend will know about.
True,
That's
we are
valid.
we're probably talking about stuff that we've been looking into.
Look, I gotta be honest. I forgot yet again to look up what your questions were for like what you really wanted to see Multani about. I assume there's some things related to it, and I know some things that Multani can answer for you. But there's probably other questions you had that I can't remember for the love of me. Because it was like last season, and I keep forgetting to check that.
Bad GM. No GM treats for you.
It's because I'm a DM
To be
right
fair,
now.
none of us remember either. So
Yeah, part of it was also probably
Yeah.
during that planning session that none of us recorded.
There were things that happened and things that were done. But regardless, we'll play it up, and I have some basics at least that'll.
What
help
about
out.
that?
And any questions that you have, I can probably answer some of those. So we'll do it. So yes, our group here has been in Yavimaya and has had some amazing adventures. Like they got to enjoy a time napping in a giant worm's nostril. Well,
I did not nap in a giant worm's nostril.
2 of
He was
you
in a bag.
did, and 2 of you were in a bag of holding because we're like, don't need to breathe, bitches.
which was fucking rude.
Still need to breathe. I can just breathe anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can choke me out. Don't.
Kinky.
But
I don't need to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I can breathe anywhere.
I still need to breathe, y'all.
You still need to enjoy the fresh smell of inside some kind of strange, horrible monstrosity's nostrils.
Of worm
There's a worm.
insides.
Worm insides probably smell bad regardless, and you're not... It's like, you got the wafting coming up from probably its digestive tract, which is probably just an awful smell down there, you know? Because it's the kind of thing, it probably doesn't chew a lot. It probably just has like a cast iron stomach, quite literally, and, you know, really good digestive juices. So, you know, just whatever gets in there is in there. Anyway,
Thanks.
after that, you met a nice angel lady. Who was,
No, she was very rude.
totally nice.
She was hot.
Mm-hmm. In a
was
kind of
total-
biomechanical, you know, murdery way, yes.
Meh.
I have a type. It's women that kill me. That's beside the point. I managed to stay away from that for once.
I prefer not to die.
I have
Listen,
a type.
Go
would
down.
kill me.
Might as well go down with having fun.
Hmm. I mean, I'm pretty sure she did, like, preposition you.
She did proposition me, and I managed to say no, like a good person.
We're all so proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but according to our GM, they prepositioned you.
I'm a preposition now?
You get a gold star.
I have been prepositioned.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna be right back. It's gonna be like a minute for me to go put meatballs not in a sauce.
Ah, not in a sauce.
Not in a sauce!
So yeah, that's kind of what happened last session. And, you're still with your crazy druid friend, Thunder, who's been, leading you through the woods. I mean, he got a lot of squirrels killed. Honestly, he got a lot of squirrels killed.
Yeah, well,
He does that
apparently
anyway.
they breed like rabbits.
They breed like squirrels.
Rabid squirrels.
That's an entirely different thing. That's a horrible monstrosity that's half rabbit, half squirrel.
No,
That's
rabid squirrels.
Oh,
not
I thought you
rabbit.
said rabbit squirrels. Because those are on a different continent. And those things are horrible.
I mean,
They developed
you
a taste
know,
for meat somewhere in the breeding cycle that combined the two of them. So they hunt from the trees, leaping down upon people, trying to, like, chew their throats.
So are they the leapers?
Where did he come from? They're both herbivores.
When you
I think
combine...
squirrels are herbivores.
I mean, you know, like, you combined two things in a weird way with using dark magic. You know, sometimes you end up with something that's kind of awful.
Squirrels are omnivores. Never mind.
Yeah. So it got really a good taste for meat when that squirrel and rabbit combined together. Yep.
You know,
I mean, we could go dark matter and have electro swirls.
No, they're stupid. No, they were fine. Electro squirrels were fine.
They just like to eat they just like to drain your technology.
Didn't they only have one eye or two or something stupid like that?
No, they had two. They just were like rainbow colored and kind of glowed.
Weird.
meat killer
They're
squirrels
disappearing.
at one point.
What?
We did in a game meet, like, psychedelic squirrels.
Yeah, this is the second game I'm in that had weird squirrel interactions. This week.
This week!
For once, it wasn't me.
It wasn't you.
Anyway. Well, that was pleasant. Someone you knew? I don't know them.
That was new for us.
Oh, that's good.
I thought we were done meeting weird biomechanical people who could kill us. It's more often than you'd think. But no, we're not done
I
yet.
don't. We're not. We're never done with that.
One day, I hope to be the only biomechanical thing that can kill me.
Good luck with that.
Life goals. I hope to be the only biomechanical thing that can kill me.
Good luck with that.
Mhm.
You know, there's still one prison in a college that could somehow get out at some point.
Don't. No, he can't. He's there forever. And I don't have to deal with him anymore. He's not my problem. We operate solely in a no longer my problem field. We take care of something until we don't have to anymore, and then we just abandon it.
I mean,
College is
that's valid.
problem.
I mean, but Winter's, or no, not Winter's. Yeah, Winter's and a couple others are watching the house, aren't they?
No, Hang's watching
Yes.
the house.
Hang's watching the house.
Mhm.
But he's not in the house anymore, is he?
No.
No, he's
Not
in
our
the
problem.
college, so we don't have to deal with that shit.
Sounds like you've had interesting times.
Yes, the collegiate experience is something that is different for everyone.
Too many to count.
I thought about going to college, but they wouldn't accept me.
Is it because you don't wear pants?
Yes.
I mean, you could at least wear a, some kind of covering.
That can't be it. Slitner Carthroking did not wear pants.
Maybe they changed their rules since our friend here
you
tried to join.
You should try again.
No,
There's also the
there'd be
fact
people
that
there.
this one has 2 legs and Slitner doesn't.
It's a fair point.
Slitner
Slitner
Kinky
Carthroking
Boy
is also
literally cannot wear pants.
It's true.
Not to mention, it doesn't really leave the water, so you wouldn't see its genitalia anyway.
Also true.
That sounds speciesist.
Slitner Carthroking is a kraken.
That sounds speciesist. I was correct. Squiggly's always showing his nuts to everyone.
Yes, we've discussed the squirrels and their fornications in detail already.
Oh, I wasn't talking about the fornicating. He just likes to show off all the walnuts he collects.
Ah.
Does he
I
get
see.
them out of walls?
Oh, that'd be strange. They fall from trees.
Then why are they called walnuts and not tree nuts?
Don't ask me, I didn't invent the language.
I think walnuts are a type of tree nut.
There are more than one?
Oh yes, there are dozens of kind.
I'm so confused.
Yes.
It's very nutty here, okay?
Oh, there's plenty of nuts. Nuts and mushrooms.
Haul you.
And small berries. And some fruit occasionally. Though some
We're
of
in the
the
middle of a forest. You can't keyhole someone in the middle of a forest.
Though some of the fruit you want to look out for because it's the size of a small dog and will crush you.
Oh
What?
God.
Sounds like if it's edible, it sounds like it would be very good for feeding people.
Oh, probably. It's quite delicious, but you have to wait till it's one of those things that you either have to knock one down yourself or wait till it's be lucky and wait till it splatters. They don't usually last, full-bodied, but once it all bursts out and all the nice juices and stuff comes in, all the little creatures start coming in, and some of the larger creatures start coming in, and the cycle of life continues.
Indeed. Well, why don't we continue down the path?
Oh yes, we were going somewhere, weren't we?
Yes, and I don't want that angel lady to visit us again, so...
Who?
The creature that attacked us.
Oh, the angry one!
Yes, the
Angel?
one
Let's go make sure that the person is still alive.
Oh, Multani? Well, the forest would have died if he dies. So we're fine.
Okay. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I'm not used to living or being in a massive forest. I've done it once before. It was fine, but it was really different from this. I'm better on the sea, or in rooms of machines, or a volcano.
all three.
Or all three. That's just where I'm at, but,
I think the nearest volcano is to the north under the water.
We don't have a submarine anymore. We can't go there.
No, I
what
took the
now?
submarine apart. We had the submarine for a while.
I don't think he knows what that is.
Okay, so imagine a boat,
Uh-huh.
but it can go underwater,
That seems impractical.
and it doesn't fill up with water when it does that.
That's quite strange. What dark magic would you use for that? And how would you row it deep underwater?
With an engine.
Ah,
I took it apart and made it part of my boat, so it's just a boat now.
artifice is too dangerous for this world. It's going to be the
Thank you.
downfall of people.
Already was.
It's all been the downfall of many a civilization on this world. You can
Yep.
see its scars even here.
And we're trying to stop some.
The grand explosion which caused the creation of this land here in Terracer. and led to the birth of Yavimaya. As much as it's been great for this forest to exist, it also knows that the creation of it should not have happened. So be careful. You forget, Terrasair was not always an island chain, but a large continent at once, until someone exploded the entire thing. He'll be picking up his staff and kind of poking it into, you, Kaz. Because you're talking about artifice.
Kaz does like explosions.
Hey, no. Controlled explosions. Not reckless explosions. Reckless explosions are bad. When I blow things up, it's intentional. And controlled. And lethal. But only to people I wanted to be lethal towards. I've never blown anyone here up.
That's surprisingly true, and considering my track record, pretty good.
In fact, I think I've stopped explosions.
Regardless, let's continue our journey to the heart of the forest. We must find your... Have you met before?
Have we met Multani? No.
Oh, then I should introduce you. Multani! These are visitors! I guess we should really go to the heart of the forest. He might not be paying attention here at this point in time. Don't worry! I'll take them the correct way! He's yelling at a flower.
There's an incorrect way?
Of course! There's always a correct way and an incorrect way. That works.
Not always.
That works in everything.
Was it the question that we wouldn't go the correct way?
I mean, if you're
If
trying
we
to...
didn't know the correct way, then yes.
Fair.
At least one of you has some sense.
One of us at a time, I like to say.
Anyway, we shall get going.
Agreed. After you.
So he will once again continue to lead you deep. Itch.
Deep into the itch.
Sorry, I had to itch my leg. Deep into the center of the forest. This is an area where, like, you had seen the Magnagoth tree folk before. They've returned to being trees in various locations, but also now is an area where these massive giants actually seem to grow. So you've almost got, like, a three-tiered forest. You have the Magnagoth, which are the tallest trees that kind of stick out, kind of in this heart of the forest, which are, again, like, 2,000-foot tall trees. They're their own, like, microclimates in and of themselves. Then in between them, you have the taller trees of the basic forest, and then, of course, you have the various things at ground level. Just making for an interesting three-tiered forest, I would say. And the shadow of the Magnagoth is impressive. It was impressive enough when this was a massive tree folk creature walking. You know, a tree which is probably maybe a couple thousand feet tall and like dozens of feet across. Just, and like its root systems is kind of like twist. There were large trees that had like, that were very wide in Llanowar, but most of them were kind of much more stubby, you know. They didn't have the height. These things have height to them. And it's probably other than probably a skyship or maybe Carrie, you flying, none of you have really been up to something that high before. You'll be led deeper into the forest, and this area, something seems to feel like it's changed as you kind of move into this area. there's like a spiritual energy about it, and all of you are actually feeling this. Carrie, you and Claude are much more sensitive to this, so you can feel it a lot more. But even you, Kaz, as a base humanoid, and your friend, your new friend, of course, would also feel this if Cole was here.
They were here?
But they're technically here. But this place is... It's similar to the Well of Black Mana, but it is green mana. And, Carrie, you can feel it. It's something that your original time... It's like the spiritual nature that comes into the end that brings about the, abilities you have when you trained as a barbarian, when you learned those ways originally, before you kind of turned to a lot of the arts of wizardry. That time kind of puts you a little bit more in line with the natural world, and you can feel that connection now strongly. This place is life itself. It is more alive than anything you've ever felt before. Any of you have ever felt. It's as if, like, everything is blooming constantly. Everything is growing. There is no stop to it. The air is abuzz with all kinds of things. The ground, the noises. It kind of forms this cacophony that ends up drowning itself out, and it ends up then like kind of echoing in weird ways throughout the forest, that there's things all around you, but you don't know where they are. It is also beautiful. There are insanely beautiful flowers of various proportions. Some that are like the kind of traditional flowers you'd see now. A couple of strange plants with flowers that are about the size of a person. Impressively beautiful. Letting loose a sickeningly sweet scent that seems to be attracting small insects to it. I will note the big flower seems to have some kind of sticky substance in it that the around where its pollen is, and insects are getting stuck to that. It is carnivorous, just very subtly, kind of like a pitcher plant more. Yeah. Not a Venus flytrap. Doesn't got movement, but still, it's impressive and beautiful, and also kind of like a morbid kind of thing. The cycles of life are constantly happening here. I would look out. As much as my strength protects me in many places, it is much harder to protect others, especially in a place of so natural wonders as it's of itself. And we should be approaching the Guardians soon. They are unique, interesting, a little dangerous, a little stupid, but we should be approaching them.
Oh, like this one. I put a carrion.
Jesting aside...
I wasn't paying attention, but I feel like I should be insulted.
A little dangerous and a little stupid.
More than a little.
Jesting aside, you're right.
So, stick close. As you get deeper, though, something changes again. Like, the energy is still around here, but, like, it's as if a lot of the noise begins to lessen and almost starts to, like, kind of echo in this area. As if, like, the disturbance of nature seems to be giving way to almost like a quietness. And it is both a little eerie, but also a little beautiful in a way. Like, it's just... pristine here. You will now see, kind of like emerging from the forest, a massive tree. A Magnagoth tree that is perhaps nearly twice the size of every Magnagoth tree you've seen so far. And they're impressive. This one goes so high, you think it disappears into clouds.
That's a big tree.
The tree itself is different than a lot of the other trees, too. It's, like, twisted and branches out. Most of them are very tall and straight. It's as if this one breaks apart and twists and kind of branches out, like, and then the branches come back together, forming this kind of strange network of twisting branches that goes up into the sky. It reminds you of maybe multiple trees that kind of even grow together sometimes, things like that. It is a very strange sight, this tree, with its kind of strange branching out and such. We have found the heart of Yavimaya. Now we must seek Multani.
And how do we do that?
It's not for me to call out to Multani. If you call out, he will perhaps answer. We are already being watched. I will be fine. Nothing will come for me. But for your lot, I could not say. You might be in grave danger, or might be completely safe.
Well, we're used to that.
This is, I think, a little different than what we're normally used to, though.
Is there any special greeting that we should use?
I have never addressed the Great Spirit myself. Why would I know one? You are doing something that very few have tried to attempt.
Didn't you say you were going to be making introductions for us?
Oh, I already have.
Oh.
Just because you're known about doesn't mean you're known about.
Yeah, fair.
You are not the first that have come to seek Multani. Plenty do, plenty have. Most of them tend to end up in situations that are their own faults.
I will step forward and go, "Oh, great Multani, we seek your guidance."
That doesn't sound about right. I don't think he's going to ask that. Come now. You're being patronizing.
We have some questions and we were hoping you might be able to answer them.
That sounds a little better. Going to give the man an idea of what you're here for?
Well, if I could remember. If there are some personal questions we have, but the first thing we need to do is to help some people. One of the great draconic engines is waking, and we would like your help in getting the help of the elves in defending. What was the name of the place? Was it Droog?
Your entire thing is, if it doesn't attack Yavimaya, you still want help from Yavimaya in defeating it.
Oh, that's right. If the draconic engine might attack places other than Yavimaya, but we would still like help from the Yavimayans in case it attacks, and they listen to you, and they're not going to listen to us. So we're hoping for some help, for the sake of other people.
Also,
Wait now. I would not ask any more questions. You see, the forest is ancient, and one of the things about a forest that is ancient is everything is based around time. And though Multani, I'm sure, is a quick thinker, It's the age-old, take the time to consider. I'm sure you'll get an answer. Once he answers, I will not accompany you or assist you if he decides to murder you. No, either way. If he does decide to answer you, I will wait here. I'll be gladly to lead you to your next location. You've been very weirdly entertaining.
Why does everyone say that about us?
I don't know.
It's because
Because
we're
we're
wildly
odd.
entertaining.
I guess, but I feel like we have more to offer than just entertainment.
Speak
We're
for yourself,
odd.
motherfucker.
You are very
You
odd.
are very odd. We're a very odd party. There's a goblin, a demon, whatever the fuck Claude is.
I'm whatever I want to be.
Exactly. You're
That's the
everything at
spirit.
once.
You can be anything you want to be. You still have perhaps dozens of years to decide.
Probably more than that.
Oh, well, that's fine, too.
Well, knowing us, probably less, actually.
There is that. Knowing us, it's probably less.
I
Can you
don't know.
die?
I don't know. I've been around for well over 300 years.
Oh, you're old.
Have you ever tried to die? Not in a bad way. I just mean, like, have you ever, like, been in a death situation? I put that really wrongly. I'm sorry.
If you remember, when you first met me, my goal was to actually
To
die.
die. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that
So
was.
no,
that
I
was it,
haven't
yeah.
been able to. But I'm over that now.
So, like, can you even die if Multani kills you?
I don't know.
I think I can, and I'm pretty sure Kaz can.
Oh no, I can. That's not the question. I'm so very killable. Of
Currently.
everyone here,
At-
most killable. Voted most
Currently.
likely to die.
At the very least, possibly this Claude would die. But one of the others might take over.
Oh, so long as it's not that one.
As long as it's not
Yeah,
that
which would probably be that one.
Well, then I'd have to kill you.
Avoid that.
The
Or
good
we'll have
news-
to kill you.
The
There's
good
that.
news about you, scary lady, is that if you die here, most likely your soul will be assimilated in the forest, and you won't have to worry about it being doomed to the black mana, which eats your heart.
Wait, what the fuck? What?
I didn't know that was an option.
Oh, you didn't realize? Her nature is quite different, similar to that of an elemental. I've seen elementals before.
No,
Normally,
we knew that part.
yes. Normally, their souls
If-
return to the element that they came from. I would assume that yours would return to whatever form of black mana, either the ley lines of this world, or perhaps if they are in some nature, would return to that directly once you are passed away.
You're telling me if I die in this forest, then my spirit can go to somewhere else other than where it's fucking doomed to?
Oh yes, it would probably end up here.
Hey,
with the rest
Kaz,
of it.
here's the
I'm
thing.
not going to kill you.
Not right now. I'm just saying. Eventually I will end up dying. Bring me to the forest.
By that point, I will be the admiral of a fleet of skyships, so I should be able to do that.
Exactly. Keep me on my fucking grandfather's clutches a little bit longer.
I mean, I can also absorb you.
No.
No,
I don't know how fucked up my head's gonna make your head is the problem.
You live on in me.
I've chilled out quite a bit. I've started chamomile tea. But still.
for me personally, I don't even like you having my blood. You're not getting my soul. No one gets my soul. When I die, I'm going to destroy it.
I thought
Oh,
you were
but
never gonna die.
yours would be somewhat closer to mine. I do not have the same kind of connection to this forest. We become part of the energy of Dominaria once we pass away.
If I die,
Exactly. There it is.
Death comes to everything, even the most eldest of creatures. They find ways. It creeps up on them. It's unfortunate that there's nothing that is truly immortal. Most times,
Not yet.
it's foolishness, overconfidence, mistakes that lead to their doom.
that does sound like me.
You have to think Multani technically has died and been reborn constantly. is the consciousness of a forest, which the forest is not always the same. Every tree here has its age, will grow and die. The great heart here will eventually pass away, and a new one will be born in its place. Perhaps even now, the seedling of the next is already growing.
This is all well and good, but can we talk to the big fucker now?
Yeah, well, we're waiting for the big fucker to talk to us.
Oh, it
The
looks
big fucker. Nope, stop.
Yeah, no, don't call it that.
Don't antagonize the big fucker.
I hold myself back. Barely.
I appreciate the restraint.
You know, I'm actually going to just sit down and meditate for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Everything will kind of be quiet for a little while. And, everybody can give me perception checks. Claude, since you're meditating, I'm going to say don't right now. Okay?
Okay.
Because it's
I'm
something that,
excited to...
while in meditation, you probably wouldn't make. Okay. So. Kaz, Claude.
I'm in danger.
Yeah. So it's going to be kind of like a sudden thing, Carrie, that you're going to kind of be sitting there, kind of like looking around. When you begin to realize, like, at first it's like a subtle thing of like, is there something moving around us? Well, you're in a forest, so there's things moving around you all the time. You know, that kind of thing. So you kind of begin to like focus on like the strange movements, and it's like, is it just an animal? Is it what's going on? You know, just to figure it out, because maybe it's something that's good to know about. Maybe it's not. You don't know yet. Until you, like, kind of realize these large shapes kind of move out of the trees, like, almost subtly and silently, and are seemingly surrounding you. It's at this time that, Claude, you certainly get a feeling of a presence around you. As they're just kind of staring. They have a very familiar form.
Hey,
One
Kaz.
that, Kaz, you can certainly notice them now. They look like massive Phyrexian gear hulks, except they're completely made of wood, as if they're like a living tree. You can see little specks and hints, you know, here and there that like kind of hint at maybe there's some metal in there. But it's kind of hidden beneath the fact that it looks like it's just a living machine made of wood.
Hello?
Ah! The Guardians have come! Well, they're not murdering you. That's a good sign.
Good.
Not murder is always welcome.
I enjoy not being murdered.
Are they just here to watch us, or...
Don't know. I've never done this, so I don't really know. I would just assume that they would come to kill you. These are remnants of an ancient enemy that have been converted to something a little bit more pleasing to the eyes. They are still unnerving, though. That's
No,
why...
we've encountered the non-tree versions of these.
That's why Multani keeps them here. Guardians that have been given new life by the forest. Almost reincarnated into something a little bit more pleasant. I wonder if they feel any echoes of their old lives. Know what horrors that was there. Each of these creatures still has the heart of something alive, yet not. Fascinating, isn't it?
I'm just gonna look at one of them. Can you speak?
They... Like, the thing is, like, in the Phyrexian creatures, they would have, like, actual features. Like, you know, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, things like that. These things just are, like, almost smooth. Like, there's, like, glowing kind of bits where there would be eyes, where they're kind of growing this kind of subtle greenish blue. But, like, areas where there's no mouths, No noses, no ears. They're all seemingly gone. Like everything's kind of almost been smoothed away.
Doesn't mean they can't.
Well, they're not making any noise. They're just kind of staring there at you.
I'll wave a hand.
And as I said, these are very large ones, like the one that you found, the kind of Gear Hulk one.
Yeah. I'll wave a hand.
Mm-hmm.
Does it seem to respond at all?
And there's also 4 of them, may I know.
Okay. Well, does any of them
No,
seem to
they're just kind of
respond?
staring there. Soon, like, silently emerging from the forest, another one, a much smaller one, only about 10 feet tall, it will kind of emerge.
Does this one look any different?
It seems to be a different type of...
I meant, does it, like, have facial features at all?
No. It's going to kind of reach a, like, wooden, kind of almost vined hand and kind of, like, beckon.
I guess we're being welcomed. Or at least asked to follow.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alright, and you will follow the Hulk. It'll lead you up like a passageway that seems to go into the heart of Yavimaya, into the tree itself. Like in amongst its vines. There seems to be like crevices and crannies and areas that maybe creatures have carved out before. Almost like tunnels that lead through it. Strange, like glowing bits of fungus that are growing on the tree give these like inner passages light as you're kind of like winding into what seems to be actually some kind of labyrinth within the tree that seems to be, you're not sure how much of it's natural, how much of it's carved. It all seems to be mostly set within its outer bark too. It is both impressive and strange feeling to be like, you know, it's it's like a tree dungeon or something, you know, like a tree labyrinth, I guess is the word I used then is probably the better way of describing it. And you'll be kind of led higher into the tree. It will be an hour of wandering through this area before you're going to get what appears to be, and you've been going up a lot. You're not sure how far you've gone up, because you really haven't had a sight of outside until at this point in time you are actually going to walk out and be up in the branch regions of this tree. You have gone up perhaps like 3,000 feet into a tree.
Okay, at least you can fly.
The air is certainly impressive. Like the lower, like definitely like the like there's a bank of like lower clouds, probably something trapped within the mountain range, causing like, you know, rain inside the area that's kind of getting up into this area. You know, so you can kind of see that as like there's this complex system of like twisted branches and leaves that are like bigger than houses. They are impressive, and this entire thing is just huge. You're actually kind of be led then through another maze of things, but there's a maze of these branches twisted amongst each other, as it kind of leads you through a walkway. Honestly speaking, you are not sure you could get back the way you came, because there have been so many off turns, both within the tree itself and up here, that it's just... The only one that probably could easily escape is Carrie. She can fly. She can just fly away from the tree.
She could carry us. We just have to be in the bag.
I mean,
Or I can also go into shadow form.
I mean,
Just shove you two in the bag, grab the human, and fly. I'm strong.
I'm in a bag. That bag might be the most useful invention in Dominarian history. If only I can patent it. But I won't.
mm-hmm.
Also, can you create multiples of them?
If you give me enough time and money, yes.
Okay.
Mechanically, it takes me less time and money than most people.
Mm-hmm.
Artificery.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. You'll be led to an area that seems to be actually at the top of the tree. An area where a bunch of branches kind of split out and create that kind of, begin to go on to that winding. But it almost kind of moves up into like a bowl shape. The area is practically empty here, except for a little bit of sunlight that seems to poke through from places from above. The soft chirp of like insects and birds that seem to be up here. Your guide will gesture kind of to that area and then move off.
Okay, I guess we'll head to that area.
As you're kind of there for a little bit, everything seems quiet. Emerging from the living wood itself is a massive 20-foot tall humanoid, seemingly emerging from it as like you can see he kind of like pulls out this like massive staff of living wood, where you can see like, you know, similar to like they've seen with the druids and stuff, of like things like kind of growing on it. And as like he kind of pulls himself out, small birds and stuff and like little like animals will kind of almost flutter down to him and kind of like move into him, as like he's got this kind of like almost like hair of branches and leaves and stuff, and it kind of like covers him. You can see stuff growing on him. His body seems almost made of living bark. This massive man. He speaks in a voice that you can't understand the language, yet you do understand what he's saying. It's very odd. Be like, you come to speak on the part of the world. You are not the first to come to me with a problem that the world has. This one, perhaps not as great as many of the others before. But I must ask you, small ones, why should this forest once again raise its fist? Why must we once again protect your world? If it comes to our world, we will rise up, protect what is ours, as Yavimaya always has.
Well, I imagine that if it attacks outside of Yavimaya and destroys outside of Yavimaya, it's not going to then just leave Yavimaya alone. And better to deal with the threat as soon as it rises, before it can become more powerful, than later when it actually attacks you specifically.
How would this thing of war, an ancient artifact, become more powerful? What could it do?
Going to be honest, I don't entirely know. I am unfamiliar with how it functions. However, from what I understand, it is at least somewhat intelligent. So by allowing it to continue on in its destruction, it might learn more. It might become more strategic, more capable.
Not to mention there are others in the world that might join beside it.
True.
I could think of some that might.
As can I.
Many things have happened to the mana flow within Dominaria. We are glad that there have been many to help out our land, as we have helped out many other lands. The threat from beyond the veil was, of course, quite dangerous. It would have caused great destruction. To here, to everywhere. It would have not stopped at any border. And of course, when time itself turned against us, when the flows of mana were disrupted, it was a few who sacrificed their lives to save not only Yavimaya, but the world. This threat here is perhaps grand, but nothing of the scale. It has been some time since I last slept and awoken. I have not been awake for as long as you would understand. Time passes differently here in Yavimaya. We have many of your seasons that go by. I am thousands of seasons old as a consciousness, as what I am now. This is but one drop in a bucket in all of history. Your creature, as though threatening, will be defeated. I do not believe it is even in my rights nor needs to stand up myself. If it makes its attack, there are those here that would deal with it. Yavimaya will survive. If it goes beyond our borders, well, I'm sure there are other great heroes out there. They are both annoying and wonderful. Annoying as they rarely let me rest. Wonderful as though I have found help from them in the past. So, may I ask you, once again, why should this be a threat that I should become involved with? The outside world has never been truly one for Yavimaya to deal with. Yavimaya grows, but it will be thousands and thousands of years before Yavimaya will be more than this. Perhaps one day, all of Terrasair, the Terrasair Islands, will be Yavimaya. Perhaps even the world. But those are more years off than I could even imagine. If it would be even possible.
Out of game for a sec. What was the message that the angel wanted us to give?
It was like surrender or something, wasn't it?
Nope. It was, don't mess with us and we won't mess with you.
Yeah.
One who calls himself Vul gave the message of, I do not wish to get into a battle with Yavimaya. We won't do anything when we're doing stuff if you do not get involved. I guess it was sort of like a, it's the German treaty to the Russians. It seems good, but it probably is not going to go anywhere great.
We did run into a creature on our way in here.
I suspected all the invaders to be dead. Imagine my surprise to not only sense one, but sense one approaching me. Yes, surprising.
They did want us to bring you a message. That if you don't get involved, they said, Vul will not bother Yavimaya.
I don't know if that was related to the Dragon Engine, or if it was related to greater schemes that they have going on.
The sound of that means Probably that dragon engine would have allies.
Yes. Also, I don't trust her word. Or the word of this Vul.
And we've met several of Vul's employees.
Compatriots?
Subordinates.
Subordinates.
If this Vul and this creature you speak of are leftovers of the invaders, then of course they would be wise to attempt a brokerage with Yavimaya. If it was not for Yavimaya, their kind perhaps would have finished off this world. Our forest helped save all of Dominaria. But decisions like that are to be milled over, thought about, pondered for periods of time. Actions must be shown. It took a strange man nearly... Well, it was thousands of years that he communicated with me before he convinced me to assist him. That man had a dark heart. I could sense it. But he had the right idea that the invaders from another world were dangerous.
These people are dangerous. And they have been trying to collect what Phyrexia did leave behind.
Are they truly of that realm? Or are they new followers here in this world? If they are followers from this world, then that is of the corruption of your own people, and not for me to deal with.
I would say at least one of them is not from this world.
Yes.
The sliver.
I wasn't referring to the creature that you had met today. But if there are others, then... None of
There
you
are
are
others, and
Urza, is what I am trying to say. Do you have 2,000 years to convince me of your plans?
I think I have 20 at
I've
most.
been alive for at least 3,000.
300.
Or 300. Why was I saying 3,000? 300. And I have no love for Phyrexia, even though I was a creation of theirs.
I do sense something strange in you. That is true. You do seem to have their influence on you, the invaders. Something otherworldly. And you, one with the blood of demons, you are an interesting one too. I have not dealt with a demon in a long time. Most learned long ago to avoid Yavimaya. But you were different. You were merely part of one. Perhaps with some magic created you? It matters not. I do not wish to know truly. But there is something more to you. Look. You said you also had questions. I will be willing to answer those at very least. If I can. Because of you. Because you're under my daughter's protection.
Well, we at least have questions.
I do not know if you are a servant or a pet.
Probably a pet.
I would have never considered a sentient creature a pet. But she is untamed, wild. Yavimaya mixing with Urborg has had interesting effects on her. That fragment of me which has become its own. I do not know how she will evolve, but I suspect a modicum of life will return to that island in a few thousand years. Maybe then she'll have a little bit more sentience, as the full strength of her as a Maro sorcerer grows. As much as it seems like they are anathema, black and green mana are quite compatible. Death and life, the cycles of rebirth. It's strange to think that that is a natural part of the world. We may continue discussing if you wish to try to continue to influence me over this artifice, or you may ask your questions. I have all the time in the world, but your words have become... You have not had the right words to convince me, know that. To assist beyond the realm of the forest. And as I said, I most likely would not assist with that creature regardless. The intelligent creatures of this forest are not normally of my concern. The forest itself is. When they live amongst it, venerate it, protect it, then they are protected by me. The druids, the elves, the apes. They earn their place here.
The druids are the ones who asked us to request help.
Of all the species that live here, they are the most that are connected with the world outside. So of course they are concerned with the world outside. They fear for their fellow beings, for death, destruction. I respect love of life, but there is only so much life that can be protected, and death is a part of life. My consciousness comes back to me after cycles of death and rebirth. My bodies die. My mind becomes that one with the forest. And then I come back again to live again. It is the cycles of those of us of the spirit. We experience life and death. We are our element. None are truly mortal. So, your questions. Perhaps we should start there with those. Because otherwise, I'm unsure how long this discussion will be.
Right, you remember questions.
Yeah, I don't remember any questions.
What
Maybe
are
we
we
should...
even gonna ask this dude?
Why don't we take
Maybe
our
we
break and you can think
yeah.
about that?
I'm gonna look up the last episode's archive.
Yeah. Drink, snack, bathroom break. Go ahead and take those, and we'll be back in a little bit. And I will try to look up some questions too. Maybe I can find the VOD if I download it and check it. Back.
It's being
I'm going to ask them questions.
You going to
They
ask some
might be
questions?
about
Hi, welcome back. We're going to ask some
Gardening
questions.
implements.
They could be possibly about gardening implements. These questions. So, we're going to ask some questions to the elemental avatar.
The Avatar? The Last Airbender?
The Avatar, the blue cat people?
One of them.
The
Blue
Avatar?
cat
that-
people.
No, the avatar of whoa. Every time that I see that, I can't help but say it that way. It's the avatar of whoa.
Why?
What are you talking about?
There's the magic card,
Joey
Avatar of
Perez.
Woe, And it's just someone said it that way, and I just can't help it.
Joey from Friends. I didn't even watch Friends.
I don't even know that. Someone else
Friends?
said it that way and referenced it, and then I stuck with it, and it became the avatar of whoa.
I thought you were going for whoa from Wayne's World.
That'd be a good one too.
Party time, excellent.
It's excellent. Now I've gone Bill and Ted, but that's besides the point.
Party time, egg salad.
Mm-hmm.
This list of questions that I've currently written down is going to be incomprehensible to me in like a week. I'm going to be like, what the fuck is that about? Okay. I'm going to remind you all that out of 10, Kazrin has a 4 intelligence. Or not intelligence, charisma. So someone else should be the person asking the questions.
You mean me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just at a fucking 14, man.
The one who actually has charisma?
I have the questions on this paper.
I need to drink Kaz's blood now.
If you waste my valuable blood on asking a goddamn tree about folks who want to fuck with us, I'm going to make you walk the plank.
We're going to tell the church.
It's okay, I can swim.
I can't.
Those dolphins might still be around and they'll fucking kill you.
I'll make friends with them.
Can't trust a dolphin. I'm editing my Discord thing to be a dolphin instead of a lizard.
All the dolphins are my friends.
That's a lie. They're using you.
Yeah, the dolphins are definitely using you, man.
The dolphins are definitely using you. You can't fucking trust dolphins.
So what questions are we...
Right, we want to ask about strange happenings in Urborg, and related to that, the bad people, the fuckers.
What strange happenings exactly? Like,
We don't know. We know that there's something wrong in Urborg because we keep getting drawn to there, and that's how fate and destiny be. And we want to ask also about the bad people who are, following us, and if the tree knows anything about that, and the tree seems to imply that the tree knows things about that. I keep calling Multani the tree. That's not going to stop. Kaz wants to ask about primeval dragons. You don't have to ask about primeval dragons. I will ask about the primeval dragons. Okay. And gardening implements.
Really? Hose.
Hose.
You can't trust.
Twitch can't be mad at me about talking about gardening implements.
On that note, I guess our most pressing question is, we know there's something odd going on in Urborg. As well, we think it's tied to these people who are working for this mysterious person, Vul. We wanted to know, especially since your daughter is there, if you know anything of what's going on.
Muldratha has bloomed in that place. A place of rot and death. It surprised me that the forest I transplanted there has blossomed in such a way, and that a fragment of my own spirit would give rise. I did not know it would occur, but it also means that I am not as connected to that part of me anymore. I am all the forest, but that forest is no longer truly me. I can feel it, but not like I can feel everything around me here, in the heart of Yavimaya, and all of Yavimaya, truly. We are too far apart, too separated, and Muldratha has grown now. She now has strength there. If you would have questions related to what happens now, then perhaps with her you must ask. If you have questions about what happened in the past, that I may be able to answer.
Yeah.
All things in your questions seem to relate to the invaders, in a way. Yes?
Yes.
Well, then there is issues that occur with that. The invaders, I fought them to strength. I used myself and then the entire forest. Each of my element. They were driven away. Urborg was the heart of their invasion. That is something important. The most relics, the most damage, the most leftovers of that war are there. So if something is related to our ancient war, or perhaps if there are remnants, Urborg would be the place to hide. There are many secrets in that place that even I could not find. You forget, as much as green and black mana are opposites of a cycle, we are still opposites on that cycle, meaning there is less compatibility. It is harder during the battles. I could not see the same way I could see now, beyond my forest. Again, this is the same reason I did not believe my daughter would blossom the way she did, because the compatibility is questionable at times. Perhaps it is because what I transplanted is more coastal, more of the mangroves, and she took on the tinge of blue mana too, and that she was able to assimilate all three. I do not know, but no, unfortunately, truly what is going on there now is beyond my knowledge in that case. You would have to address her directly. But her mind is not like mine. I am unsure you would be able to communicate the same way as we are talking now. There is perhaps one that might be able to help you with that, though. The one that helped me before, or the one that learned from it. A woman who seemed to master fire magic. She was quite heated. She joined with those that wished to rebuild the ship using my living seed. Urza's skyship. That monster made many good points. Our hatred for the damage that he did to Terracer was long ago emaciated by the threat of the invaders, and he died during it. But I was surprised that his ship still existed, and that my forest could help rebuild it. And when they came for my assistance, I was not of myself, too drawn in by the negative energies of previous battles, of the rifts, and the damage that was dealt to me during that. The fiery one, claimed that a elven woman had taught her something, and allowed me to regain my mind by connecting with me through the ley lines. It was quite interesting that a being that is normally not associated with my mana could connect with me so deep. Perhaps you could seek out her. The skyship might be able to help you find this one. She might be able to assist you, or the teacher, in speaking with Multani, finding her mind in amongst the chaos. She does not have the same control as me. But I do not know how much her mind has developed otherwise. What more do you have to ask of me? I'm sorry that I could not be more help on that question.
Have you ever heard of this Vul?
That name is not familiar to me, though many of your names tend to be hard to remember. There are many of you. I remember those that are important, who have taught me, shown me things, been with me. Names like Urza, Raphaelis, and others. Young Gerald and his friends. These were all good souls. It is unfortunate that that name, good or bad, is not one I recognize.
I would doubt it would be good. We believe it may be tied to the old invaders.
The one who led them, Yarmoth. It is the only name of the invaders I knew. A name taught to me by Urza, to know the leader of your enemies. They had many individuals within them, but their names are hollow to me, unfortunately. There were too many battles and too many wars.
I believe, Kaz, you had a question?
Has the primeval dragon of Yavimaya been reborn?
Rith's blood grows strong. They are protectors of Yavimaya. Have always been associated with it. Whether Rith herself breathes in some form, I sense there is something there, but perhaps not something that would awaken.
I ask because the primeval dragon of Shiv has returned, and I was wondering if
Yes.
similar stirrings are occurring elsewhere.
I do not believe so. Not in that way. I believe it is incidental that Daragaz has been reborn again. It should not have occurred. I think with the time rifts, it accelerated the rebirth cycle for the primeval dragons. Normally, they are born again when something happens on Dominaria. Normally, they are also drawn forth if something happens in their own areas. When there are threats to Yavimaya, Rith perhaps can awaken. So there perhaps is one that could become Rith. But whether or not they are truly aware that they could awaken as the Awakener is unbeknownst to me. If you are curious, you would have to travel to the Grove of Rith, deep in the north, and address the dragons yourself.
Okay. I will consider this.
Are there more questions that you have?
Do you have any general wisdom to impart?
Wisdom on your kind is a hard thing to say. We are very different creatures. We of the Maro sorcerers are a breed different than yours. We are the children of Gaia itself, the incarnation of Dominaria, made spiritual. We are fragments of that energy, the energy that flows through the world. We are strongly associated with Greenland, as so much life, so much of the forest and trees are associated with that. It is both the strongest and the weakest of the manas. Strongest as the most of us exist, weakest as It is rare that we can manifest ourselves like this. All the other manas have their champions. We are champions of this one. And so, that wisdom is hard to explain. To explain what it means to be one with nature in the world. Your kind does not see life again once you die. You do not see the cycles of the world. You do not feel the mana all around you, touch the ley lines, understand the energy. You see, I am all of Yavimaya. Every tree, every blade of grass is me. Every bird, insect, mammal, reptile, amphibian is connected to me. They are one with me. Everything that grows here is one with it. And as much as I have a mind, Yavimaya surprises me constantly. I did not know of the Kavu or their birth until the evasion. The threat of the otherworlders brought them forth from ancient bloodlines and energies that were hidden within me, secrets I had not unlocked. So there are memories and things that even I do not know of for me. Think of it as having knowledge of a million minds, but can only access a few at a time.
I can understand that in a way.
So you can see that it's very difficult. Sometimes things are lost to you. Sometimes you don't even learn certain things until it shows it to you. So, the beauty of the forest and all of Yavimaya is something that will always be here in Dominaria. We have survived everything stronger than ever. So my wisdom, perhaps to you, would be to understand the nature of anything around you. You do not just understand all of that nature, but watch, listen, understand, feel the energies. These are important things, and take your time making decisions. There are dangers that can occur if you push yourself too quickly or act too rashly. So you must act with wisdom. Perhaps there is one thing I may give you, a wisdom that could help you. If you do seek assistance against that beast, I will not stop you. Perhaps I could offer you something that would allow you to negotiate with others.
That would be appreciative.
He's going to hold out his hand, and you'll see like something sprout from it, and a flower take bloom. With his, he's then going to kind of close the hand. See me clamping off the bottom of the flower, and kind of like then like having it like kind of like resting on his fist, and then open it up again as the flower kind of then just drops into his hand, and he'll kind of offer it.
I
Take
will
this.
step forward.
It's about the size of like a dinner plate, this flower, because again, like he's like 20 feet tall. He's a massive, elemental creature. But it's like, we'll say like, that is a symbol that you are friends of the forest. As long as you remain that, it will not wilt. As long as you remain that, you may speak with the others. The elves and the apes earned their place here in Yavimaya. In my early days, when my mind was still clouded, I was a danger to many of them, and they assisted, along with others who had become friends of the forest, in helping me see clarity, understand what I was. That is why they are allowed to remain, to be here, just as the druids have done good now, in later years. They think more of the forest, though. But with this, you might be able to convince both of them to help. And if you turn to the grove for Rith, you might be able to convince the dragons to assist you too. Know this, the flower I've given you has not said that Yavimaya will act. It just tells them that you are a friend of Yavimaya, and that you have seen me first. They will know, though, I did not say yes to assisting you. I did not offer it. But they will also know that I did not say they may not help you, if you understand what I'm saying.
I understand and appreciate this offer.
If you do wish to fight this thing, then I would suggest you go to them. Your guide will be able to assist you. He will know the way to all 3 of those locations.
Thank you.
He is then going to kind of move back and sink back into the tree, disappearing again. After about 20 minutes, the woodman's going to come back for you, unless you're going to do something.
I was just going to say, well, looks like we have a lot of talking to do.
But
And
eventually,
a lot of walking.
yeah, the woodman will come back to,
Yeah.
lead you back down. It'll be a little bit, though. He wandered off.
Yep.
But he will lead you back to Thunder, who will be sitting there with the 4 guardians that have been hanging around him.
On the way down, I'm just going to say, so who do we talk to first?
The closer ones.
Sound logic to me. Sorry, I was half asleep.
Well, I guess we will wait till we talk then to our guide.
Yeah.
Hey, Thunder, we're not dead.
I did not expect you to be.
And I'm holding the giant flower.
I thought you expected us to die.
When you got here and didn't die right away, I expected you'd be fine.
That's good to know.
I half expected us to die. But I usually expect us to die a little bit. A little death.
That's fair.
Well, Multani did not say yes to helping, but they did give us permission to ask and talk to the dragons, the elves, and the apes. Which of them would be the closest?
Good question. Depends on which elves you want to speak to. If you want to speak to those that guard the borders of Yavimaya, well, I doubt they'll do much else. They're a very savage kind, who, unlike their brethren in the center, the heart of the island, are a lot more unreasonable.
They probably won't like that we snuck in.
They probably knew the way you came in, I'm assuming. They just, well, were probably watching you the entire way, at least until it seemed like you weren't of any danger.
Remember, at least our friend here has come before.
Yes. Rest of the elves of Yavimaya, they live in very strange places. They probably are the quickest to get to, but the hardest to find, if you understand what I'm saying. You have to communicate with them. They've got unique abilities different than any other elf that you've ever met. I would say they've almost become a different species than those that you find as the Border Elves. The Border Elves are the remainders of those refugees that came here when the water levels rose before Multani gained his sentience. They found that some could coexist with the essence of the forest. Others could not. They split in two. They are strange, those ones. Helpful, but strange.
Sounds like us.
Indeed. The apes should be an easy part. It's just convincing them not to eat us first.
I won't taste good.
I assume.
Metal, you know.
Am I spicy?
I would assume so.
Probably.
Maybe slightly poisonous.
Oh, I'm definitely poisonous. I may have stopped the drugs now, but I did drugs for a long time.
I think I both have and could give lead poisoning.
If you have lead poisoning, why are you not dead?
I think I'm immune to lead poisoning.
You don't have it.
I have metal in my body.
Is it
Is it
lead?
I can neither confirm nor deny if I have implanted lead into my body.
I don't think they'll quite notice that until after they've eaten you for a bit.
They won't get my lungs, that much I know for sure.
What did you do with them anyway?
I replaced them.
No, I know that. What did you do with them?
They were replaced. So it's very complicated, but like in replacing my lungs, I like physically replaced. I didn't like take them out and put the new ones in. Part of like becoming attached to the new lungs is that they simply entered into my body and physically replaced the old ones.
So your lungs got overgrown with metal.
No, because it's not the same lungs. If I ever became unattached from the new ones, the old ones would return. However, I have no intention to ever do that. Instead, I'm just going to keep the metal ones.
I thought I was strange.
Well, you don't need to replace your lungs with metal lungs. You already have them.
Yeah, true.
I don't think they can eat you.
At the very least, I would not be tasty. They might be able to drink me.
Personally, I don't think any of you would really be tasty. If you were delicious. Doesn't mean they wouldn't be try or be creative. You kind of seem, pointing to Carrie, you seem kind of poisonous. They'd probably just try to eat your heart.
Do I even have one of those? Oh, yep, I do have one of those.
Yes, you do.
Metaphorically.
Yes, you do.
Oh, okay. Also, to get to my heart, well, I guess they could just claw up my chest. Be kind of uncomfortable, though. Hey, Kaz, can you replace a heart?
I don't think so, unfortunately, because I think you would die.
Oh, you would die without
But
lungs.
I would die in the forest.
I'm not going to replace your heart. Well, here's the thing. In order for them to take out your heart, I'd have to be dead.
Well, there's that.
And I'm very hard to kill. People have
I
been
would
trying
also-
to kill me since I was born.
I would also protect you. They would have to kill me as well.
Oh, they'd have to kill me first, though.
I think the only way for it to work is if they kill all of us simultaneously.
Pretty much. We're too attached to each other at this point.
Because if either of you die, I can just make you not dead anymore.
There is one
And if
more
either
group
of
we
you
could
die, I
talk
turn
to.
into a massive demon.
Yes.
What group is that?
Oh, we could talk to the gnomes.
There's no.
What are gnomes?
They're strange little underground dwelling people that have strange abilities. I think they're the oldest intelligent species here in all of Yavimaya. They're also the one that is hardest to communicate with. You see, I can only know about them because of my nature and the fact that, live away from people. They come out at night oftentimes. And they are curious about others that live in the place. They've probably already observed you as visitors. But convincing them to help out is a very much different matter. Their abilities are strange.
So are ours.
No,
Yes.
yours are much less strange.
Really?
I want to meet them so badly.
I also want to meet them so badly. Is it a good or a bad idea to meet them?
I don't know.
Will they eat us?
What do the squirrels
Probably
think?
not. I think the squares would be fine with it. They like meeting weird people.
Are the squirrels willing to help?
Squibbles? No!
What are they going to do to a giant metal dragon?
It's not.
How do we meet these gnome things?
Well, you have a nice flower that they might be interested in. We could hang around in a place for like a few days and hope for the best.
Oh, I don't know if we have a few days.
Those might be also the last ones we talk to, because if they want the flower, that would harm our chances of talking to the others.
Want to meet the gnomes?
I
They're the
also
only ones
want
that
to
were
meet
not
the
threatened,
gnomes.
who've ever been threatened by any dangers of Yavimaya. Even when the forest loses its mind and becomes more dangerous, they are not threatened. Part of me thinks that maybe there are some kind of small elementals that were born from the forest. Their very existence is brought into question if you didn't find their homes. And you can find their dead sometimes, if you dig in the right spots.
Well, let's not go to grave robbing.
No. I've been informed that grave robbing is bad.
Well, you don't
But
need
also
to steal the body, I just
different
mean
from
find it.
archaeology.
It tells
Then
you
that
the
is
area.
archaeology, which is okay.
Fascinating. Then I'm an archaeologist.
Great.
It's about if you study the corpse or steal the corpse and slash things around the corpse. Stealing, bad. Studying, academic.
What if you steal it from bad people?
What do you do with it then?
Turn it into a party favor.
Okay.
I think that's not grave robbing, but
That'd
also
be-
not archaeology.
That'd be desiccating a corpse.
That
Desiccating a
would be
corpse.
desiccating a corpse.
Desecrating. Desecrating a corpse.
Desecrating, yes.
Even
Desecrating.
I knew that. Desiccating a dragon.
Desecration of earthly remains. And
What if the earthly remains desert it
What is
and or
Earth?
ask for it?
earth,
What?
earth
I
as
asked-
in like dirt.
Whose body
Yeah,
is
that's
on-
earthly remains is in like earth, like ground. Earth.
I was making a joke.
Dominarian remains. There, you fucking happy.
That
Yes.
doesn't make sense. There's the term Earth for like dirt, so you can live with
Yeah.
that.
Earthly remains is
but-
with a lowercase e.
But
Yeah.
Earth, the only
Linguistics.
reason the word Earth exists is because we also named the planet.
I think the planet is.
I'm curious as if which one came first, because like the planet we knowing as a planet came about much later, you know?
I think we should rename the planet.
Soil.
No, we should rename the planet.
What are we going to call it, Bob?
Well, apparently it originates from the Anglo-Saxon language, where the word Erde, and its German equivalent Erde, means ground/soil.
Ha! Fuck you.
But nobody really fucking knows. I.e., it could have been that Earth came first from the word of ground, or Earth could have been the planet, and they're like, hey, the planet has ground. Ground could be Earth, too.
We should rename the planet Shrimptopia.
I want to name it Bob.
Because here's the thing. Earth, mainly water, and shrimp like that. It seems if the Earth was made for a species, it might have been a shrimp.
Shrimptopia sounds like a nice place.
See? Shrimp heaven now.
Shrimp toasted.
Oh.
Regardless of shrimp and their plots to take over the world,
I mean,
I
that's
lost
you got that in
track.
Dominaria. The Homerids. They probably
fuck! God damn it!
they are giant like lobster / shrimp. I mean, they freaking are probably trying
Yeah.
to take over the world.
Anyway, who do we want to contact first? Should we start with the elves? We're already towards the center, I believe.
Yes. I say,
So that might
okay,
make the most sense.
let's just like hammer out the details right now. Elf, ape, dragon, gnome.
What do
Sounds
you get if you
alright.
combine all those together?
The best army to fight the giant metal dragon.
A very weird orgy.
I'm down for
Later.
that.
I'm also down for that, but later.
Even the apes?
It depends. I have never met
I'm not
an
speechless.
intelligent ape. Depends on their personality.
It's like one of those weird things that I'm sure there are still non-sentient, in the term that we think of sentience, apes on Dominaria. It's just that there are the ones of Yavimaya are like the ones that gained like, you know, tribal status.
It's like the apes from Tarzan.
Yes. Except with tool making, magical shamans, you know, powerful chieftains and
That
ancestor
one
worship.
ape played the drums. I think they got tool making down in Tarzan.
That one ape.
I haven't seen Tarzan in a while. You can't exactly remember their names. Phil Collins made the music, man. What does it matter?
Blame Phil Collins.
I will.
Okay.
So yeah, you're planning elves first, then I guess. Sounds like.
That
They're the
makes
close ones.
sense. They're the ones in the center, and we're near the center.
They are sort of in the center, as your host basically said. They are the easiest to get to travel to, the hardest to find. Excuse me.
We'll try them.
Do any of us speak Elven?
Yes.
Well, there we fucking
I
go.
also speak Elven.
I speak
speak-
Common, Infernal, and Elven.
Man, Gerblin. Ain't no Gerblins in Yavimaya. Unless
also
the
speak
gnomes are
every-
goblins. Are gnomes goblins?
I'm gonna be honest, probably not. What the hell they are, I don't think anybody knows because they are referenced in non-card lore. It's official lore that references the Gnomes of Yavimaya and gives some information about them, but they ain't in any cards. They are weird from the little bits of information we got.
What the fuck is this picture that I just found?
Is it a phenomenon of the event? Yeah.
I literally searched Gnomes Dominaria.
Is it it's one of the shadow gnomes?
I think so.
Yeah.
Why? Google Images, take me away.
I'm sending it to the group chat. Well, I would if it would save not as a fucking WebP image. Damn it. JPEG. That's how I force it.
What? In the
Let
goddamn.
me just check this here. Just
All right, Benny.
Any of the Jets?
No, Benny New Vegas.
Oh, Benny New Vegas. Well, that's an entirely different problem.
No, there is a card though, with gnomes on it. There's clockwork gnomes.
Yes, but those
Yeah.
are from Homelands,
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
which is the one that you sent us, the bottle gnomes from Homelands.
The first fucking thing I saw.
Yeah, there are those. There's patchwork gnomes.
Yeah. They have huge luminous eyes, and they're known as shadow gnomes. So, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Gnomes are all over the place, is what I'm learning.
I mean, there are a lot of weird species, you know. There's technically a version of, I think what you could call halflings, not in Dominaria, but in Magic. The Kithkin are effectively halflings.
Kithkin.
They're
Wait,
effectively halflings.
There are
I also
actually
found-
halflings now, thanks to the Forgotten Realms.
And I
There
think it's because of the D&D card set. Min Willy Illusionist, legendary creature gnome wizard.
Yes, D&D set has introduced actual, like, D&D versions of gnomes and
Gnomes.
stuff.
It's a very fun set.
But, so yeah,
I've done horrible things with that set.
I'm sure. So you want to try for the elves
Ooh.
first, is what we're saying. No.
Yes.
Alright. He's like, alright. I will lead you to a place where I think we could find the elves. But once we get there, it'll be up to you to communicate with them. They're a bunch that is, both a little cautious and also a little secretive. Kind of strange. They'll know that we're there long before we know that they're there. If you understand what I mean.
In that they are watching us always, constantly.
Sure.
Well, let's try it, and we can hold out the flower and see if
I
they
wouldn't do that.
Oh.
Oh no. I wouldn't attract attention to something of your importance. I'd find the one who is important first, and then attract attention of them.
Okay.
Though it's
All
kind
right,
of
which
hard,
of us
it's kind
is
of hard to tell
important?
which one is important, though. You see, a lot of times they're a little bit like bees, and less like elves.
Bees.
Oh, yes. They have some kind of, hive they're part of.
Okay. I just had to remember why we're doing this.
They all connect their minds together to a degree, too, through Yavimaya itself. They have a deeper connection than any of us that live here that have minds. They have individual minds, but yet they are still connected together. And, they are connected to the forest. So I'm sure if Multani wanted to, he could communicate with them directly. But I don't know if their brains would be able to take it.
Our brains were barely able to take it.
Oh, yes. They start to think to each other and know things. But so that's why it's very hard to find one that's more in charge. because they're sort of all in charge at the same time. But if you talk to the wrong one, it might... Because they're still individuals to agree, it might give a wrong impression.
Can we just ask them who's in charge?
Yes!
Will they give us an accurate answer?
I don't know!
Have you dealt with them before on many occasions?
Indirectly.
Through squirrels?
Oh no.
Okay, good.
That would just be silly. Squirrels can't speak.
Oh, you could give them notes that they could
Yeah,
take.
give them notes and...
Chitters would never take a note. He'd eat it first. Right, Chitters? Yes, you're a bastard.
Well, don't give it to chitters then.
Wait, chatters?
Chitters.
Chitters. Like
Chitters.
Chittering.
Okay. You could... like, tie it on a string around their neck so they can't eat it.
Or just not give it to chitters.
Oh,
Or
those
on,
would
like,
both be
a
very
pack.
silly things. Everyone knows Chitters is the best messenger squirrel of them all. He just eats the notes if you send him too far.
I have many questions, but not enough time to ask them.
Wait!
Let's-
I have an idea! Don't worry. I'll help you out. This'll be fun.
Fun for who?
Everyone! Come
Okay,
now!
I'm on board.
To the elves!
To the elves.
I trust your version of fun, but also you mentioned, like, within the first 5 minutes, a party squirrel, so I'll trust you.
Yes, I would like to meet the we should also try to get the party squirrel to help us fight the giant dragon.
Do you at least want to put a loincloth on?
Why would I do that?
Why would it matter?
Yeah, he has enough like moss and vines and lichen covering in that you can't. It's like a skirt of vegetation.
Just the thought.
Listen, if I can walk around half naked, he can walk around fully naked in a forest.
I'm keeping my clothes on personally. The coat is a very flattering cut on me.
I mean,
How are you not boiling hot?
I replaced my lungs with machinery. I'm always boiling hot. Or I would be if I hadn't taken precautions. The lungs actually keep me very cool.
Okay, and off we go.
Alright, he will lead you through the forest. It will be about half a day, so it'll be evening by the time he gets to an area where he will stop you and be like, "Here! We've arrived! Where we were going to."
Oh, it's good that we didn't arrive where we're not going to.
I mean, that was just a few minutes ago.
He has a point.
So now what?
Ah! Good question! Well, I'm waiting for about a little bit for some things to show up. And then we can begin the fun.
What kind of things are we waiting for?
Is it another worm?
No.
More squirrels?
Always.
Yay!
Party squirrel. I hope it's the party squirrel. I'm
I
just
hope it's
curious.
Party squirrel.
I'm just curious as to what the party squirrel is.
It brings all the
Or
nuts.
the next party?
Does it have like a hat?
If it doesn't, I can make it one.
That's a good point.
Look, we'll know when he shows up. He'll be accompanied.
Is it like
Very
a
bad.
is it like a squirrel king?
King? That guy? Ah, no, 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 no. Mortimer's the Squirrel King.
Have we met Mortimer?
No.
The fact that there's a squirrel monarchy is blowing my mind.
He's not-
Mortimer wasn't one of the ones that got destroyed, was it?
Oh no, I was only using gray squirrels.
What is
Is it-
Mortimer?
He's a dire squirrel.
That makes
sounds
sense.
horrifying.
Wait, why didn't you use dire squirrels?
Because that would have taken longer to summon.
You know what? That's a good point. It
It's
was.
valid.
Why is Mortimer the king? Was he like?
I never asked.
Is there a noble squirrel bloodline?
I've never asked. There might be. I just know he's a Squirrel King.
Maybe because he's the biggest.
Is he the biggest?
I've never measured. I always thought Flimmy was the biggest. But he might not be.
You could do a like bracket system where you find a bunch of them, and then you have other squirrels vote on who's the biggest, and use that to determine the biggest and the new king.
Squirrel democracy? That's a terrible idea. Squirrels are
Not
terrible
democracy.
at voting at anything.
Squirrel competitive democracy.
Come now. They are terrible at voting at anything. They vote at the first thing they'd see. 95% of the time.
Could I be the first thing they see, and that could be the new Squirrel King?
Yes, I would like Claude here to be the new. I would like Claude to be the new Squirrel King,
Why can't I be the squirrel king?
because you'd have to be the Squirrel Queen. Also, you'd be a Squirrel Empress, and you would rule with an iron fist.
Fuck gender norms.
You'd be the Squirrel ruling regent, and you'd rule with an iron fist.
Better.
But Claude can still be the Squirrel King. Again, I have no interest in governmental positions, only military.
What are
Could
the
squirrels have military? We're getting way off track.
I'm just curious about the internal politics of the squirrel world. They don't
I was gonna
have
say, what is
squirrels on
the-
Shiv.
What are the perks of being the Squirrel King?
Get the best knots.
Ah! Our first visitor is here. Not the other one that we're looking for, but this one that we're looking for.
How many
Is it
are
a
we? I
squirrel?
will find out.
Hello! I don't normally say hello, but you usually leave me alone.
What is he talking to? Is it a squirrel or something else?
Man.
Seemingly emerging from the trees, like perfectly hidden, is about a half a dozen kind of greenish tinted people. You can see their skin. They've got very like kind of long limbs, pointed ears. They look very different than if these are the elves, any elves you've seen before. There's something strange about them. Their like limbs are just a little bit unnaturally long. Still pointed ears, got kind of like a strange, almost kind of greenish tint to their skin a little bit.
These the elves that we're waiting for?
Yes.
I see what you mean.
I just are they hot?
Are they hot?
I mean, are you into green long arm people?
They're wearing like what looks to be like armor and clothing made of this bark, which is malleable.
That's not a no.
I'm surprisingly resistant.
All right, that's how we determine if we're attracted to people.
It's
I'm
the way
attracted
that
to them.
I am.
Kaz is
It's the way that I
attracted to them.
figured out.
I've just assumed that one of them is probably attractive to me, just because I'm an equal opportunist.
An equal I'm not gonna say it.
I know what you're thinking, and yes.
I know what you're thinking, and yes, that's a great way of saying that. Anyway. Why have you come here?
I still want to say this, but I'm not saying it in-game. Take me to your leader.
Well, we kind of need to talk to someone in charge.
You have not answered our question. This is another one speaking.
Well, we're here to ask for help. I think, right? That's what we're doing.
Yes.
Yes. There is an ancient mechanical creature that may threaten.
We care not for your concerns.
I mean, that's valid.
This one, like each time it's a different one speaking to, you know, kind of circling through them. This one called forth to us. Why have you gotten this being to do so? Thunder's like twiddling his hand, like kind of like a hi, you know?
To be fair, why did you, Thunder?
Yeah, Thunder, a little warning would have been appreciated.
Oh, I forgot to mention that I lit the incense.
We didn't know what the incense. Honestly, I thought the incense was to ward off more mosquitoes.
Oh no! It was to let the elves know that I wanted to speak with them. I've only lit it once. When I was a young boy. And we had some negotiations to do back then. It was my father who had me light it. I remember those days. Our second guests are arriving. Can you hear it? Everybody make perception checks.
Perception checks?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I will fail. Apparently not.
So, Kaz, you and Carrie will be the first to hear this. There's like some kind of strange music in the background somewhere.
It's the Party Squirrel.
He played during Sandstorm?
Did. Apparently, we've come to invite you to a party.
Who else did you invite?
I appointed Chitter Chatter, the Party Squirrel, as hopping in is like a 4-foot tall squirrel in a like hat of flowers and fruit, wearing a cape of leaves, accompanied by a bunch of other 4-foot squirrels with very rudimentary instruments that look like they're not really good at.
That doesn't matter. It's the spirit that matters.
Are any of them wearing grass skirts?
No, they're squirrels.
I'm going
That
to
doesn't
get
mean they can't.
drunk.
We'll leave off at Party Squirrel. Chitter Chatter showing up. Chitter Chatter. There you go. That's his name. Chitter Chatter, the Party Squirrel.
Chitter Chatter, the Party Squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
He deserves the world.
Look, their entire breed may be a creation of Thunder's, using an awakening spell on a bunch of them and also permanently making a bunch of them gigantic and having them breed over the course of decades to create a race of semi-intelligent squirrels that specifically worship him as some form of god. Cough, 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 cough.
Hey, that's valid.
Baller.
Didn't one of my characters, like, awaken a bunch of trees?
Yes!
And use them as an army?
Also, your current character awakened some trees, or talked to some, and found out that, like, no, you awakened some you think, but they were also then slowly moving and over a couple of decades going to murder another tree or something.
Yeah, I did in fact awaken some other trees. Man, me and trees.
I'm never taking you to a forest.
It's gonna be decades.
In a forest.
Live outside of the forest.
It'll be like a couple of decades and it'll show up and like murder the other one. You'll be like, I guess that tree was getting closer.
Maybe very slowly, but you know, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think Elias would do that by accident. He'd do some fucked up shit to trees.
But yes, chitter chatter, the dire Party Squirrel has shown up.
Fuck yeah, dude.
They're not great at band.
I don't need to be man. It's all about the spirit. It's all about the spirit of the band, the
Look,
music, man.
This druid is only so powerful. He's pretty powerful. He just can't quite make ape-level intelligence. He tried his best with the squirrels, man. They got like a 4, maybe? A collective 4? You know, that's okay.
A tug short tankard.
Yeah, you know.
Doug Short Tankard has a 7, and you know it.
That's why I said almost.
Like the apes have gotten to that like 10 intelligence reach, you know, so they can have like, you know, actual like intelligence. The squirrels are still at like 4, and who knows what'll happen after he dies, and they won't have the influence of him anymore.
If Kaz dies, my next character is just Party Squirrel.
You will have an intelligence of 4, and you will be small still, so I guess you're the same size.
To be fair, Mads in real life has an intelligence of 4, so I could technically be a bard.
Shut the fuck up. You're smart, asshole.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
I can
Anyway.
feel the love.
Can you feel the love tonight?
This is what I'm like to my friends when they're self-deprecating.
It's just for all the time for me.
And I'm constantly telling you how good of a fucking person you are.
Like yourself more,
Motherfucker.
goddammit.
No.
Yeah.
Refuse.
Fuck you.
Mad shout out.
Tuesdays eventually will be back to Star Trek. It's just that life keeps getting in the way, like the fact that I slept maybe 4 hours a day for a week, and other things.
I think it's been a lot of Josh daddy time needed, you know.
Poor Josh's kids.
Yes.
Josh's kids have just have a rough go of it right now.
Some bad
But
luck. Poor kids.
Eventually, we will be back Tuesdays. I think around the same time, actually, as this game.
9 o'clock to midnight.
Yeah.
Times to other times.
Star Trek with me and Tantus and Joe and
Thunder.
another Thunder. A different Thunder, not one that controls squirrels.
Thunderpants.
No, instead she controls everything else.
Thunderbird pants. I mean pants. Damn it. I thought it was pants too until the pants. It was like, if for whatever reason my brain wants to go pants and it's not correct.
I mean, to be fair, Thunder probably wears pants. So technically, Thunderbird pants is accurate. But yeah, that's it. That's just, eventually we'll be back to Tuesdays. Hopefully next week. It kind of depends on how things go.
I did Raider chat once and what meant Thunderpants.
Go.
Underpants.
Like
Yo.
Thunderpants.
Yes, I got it. That's why I said go at the end of that entire thing. Anyway, fish.
I think it's a garden implement. Oh, hi, I'm Fish. I'm Fish Island. This week, well, if you remember, many months ago, I signed off by saying I was carcinizing. Unfortunately, carcinization didn't hold, so this time I'm trying mustification, which is a process mammals go through where they evolve into weasels. It's happened a lot. It keeps happening.
You're just gonna go all weasel on us all.
Gonna turn into a goddamn stoat.
Well, good luck on that. Joe!
I'm Joe. You'll find me here on Tantus's channel and on Unfunny Ones on Tuesdays for Star Trek. And that's it.
Cool. Myself, Tantus Naravan Dracovin. Current schedule, if you're looking for more RPG games, other than this one, which will be back at next week, 9 o'clock, hopefully a little better on time, 9 p.m. EST. There were some delays, and then, we got to a little bit of a conversation, so, I mean, that was why we didn't start
I
right
had
away.
to make meatballs.
Usually happens anyway.
Yeah.
There was a little delay beforehand, and we were missing someone anyway, so, we try to get everybody together, so. Then also, next week, will be at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, will be Buccaneers of the Shackled Sea, which has been very fun. I love this group. I love that group, too. Let me put it this way. For you people here, they have a we did a Pathfinder version of Dragonborn I found as a third-party thing online. So they're Dragonborn, beat up a guy, then when they woke him up, because the guy wanted to fight him, they did the Predator handshake because they earned respect from each other, you know?
Nice.
And then later on, he dived into the water to save him when he got washed overboard, and they Predator handshaked again afterwards, like, thanks for saving my life, bud. Yeah.
That's some NADPOD shit. I appreciate that.
It was great. It just happened normally, like, organically, and it was wonderful. They're crazy. Kind of like you guys. I like the crazy group. Discussing Tabletop Saturday at 2 p.m. Check that out. We're going to talk about Tabletop news of the week. There's, like, the big things I can say right now is D&D's getting updates that might be a 5.25, maybe in 2022, and in a 2024 there's another thing planned which might be a 5.5?
I like to think it's 5.3 repeating.
I don't know. They're doing some kind of updates to rules and stuff, so I don't know. We don't know what it's going to be. It's probably not going to be major, but it might be refined? We'll have to see. That's going to be a thing to talk about this weekend. I will be doing some Valheim probably tomorrow afternoon. I've been doing that and grabbing, Lightning to do it, some Viking survival adventures, and then tomorrow evening I think is going to be 7 Days to Die with Unfunny One and a bunch of other people, where we are probably really stupid about that kind of stuff, but have fun. So that'll be that schedule. And I'll probably do some more stuff in the future, and I am planning some more RPG-related stuff, which is starting to be in the work. So I'll announce that too. Not enough for me to give information on dates and stuff like that, but I got some ideas of some things and some work. So, yeah. I hope everybody has a great rest of your Thursday. How short it is for, me and Joe. I mean, it's 2 more minutes until Thursday's done. But however long it is, hope it's a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and I hope you can join us, at very least, here next week for more crazy adventures. But until then, farewell, everybody. Goodbye.
Oh.